Okay, as you guys can see, I'm out at the local lake today, but I'm not going to be reviewing an RC boat like I typically would be. I'm going to be reviewing this, an RC amphibious airplane from DRC. Absolutely glorious day out here today. There's a little bit of wind, so hopefully, you know, the plane, it was being this constructed of styrofoam, and these are very lightweight, so I think we'll be okay, but that makes it a little bit uneasy because you don't want much wind when you are going to fly one of these. But as I said, this is amphibious, so it's made to land and be able to take off from the water. Also on a slick surface, you know, on land itself, it would work as well. And you can also hand throw it, which I will do to start out. Do a little hand toss of this little guy. You can see you get your dual motors here, so one motor will spin up more than the other to steer it using, you know, directional thrust of each motor. You get your little servo here in the back. This thing ought to be quite a bit of fun. There's a little red light that comes on here when you power it up. Your LiPo battery goes in here and your power button is right here. Let me show you. You get two of these LiPo batteries. So they give you these little 200 milliamp 1S LiPos. It's powered by a red JST plug, and you got your USB charging cable there. And then they do give you some extra props and a Phillips screwdriver to work on this guy. I'll show you the box real quick here. Let me grab it out of the trunk. So here it is. You know, take off on water, waterproof. Mentioned that it's 3-channel. And it is gyro stabilized. So when you power it on here in a second, I'll show you, you'll hear the servo moving around as you tilt the plane. So it ought to be pretty easy to fly even for a beginner. You get a little controller here. Of course, being that this is, you know, an airplane, there's not kind of altitude hold obviously on a plane. And this is basically, you know, your throttle and your to steer it. You've got some trim controls here, right, left, and this is like in your up and down. You have arrows here to if the plane's wanting to rise or descend, you can trim it that way. I think this was like a light control. It said, I mentioned there's only a red light. I didn't see this did anything. And this is your speed rates. There's a low and a high. We'll probably put it up in the high here just because of the intermittent breeze. So let's go ahead and power up this plane. Just gonna hold down this power button. And we should have some power, I believe. Let's make sure let's do it again here. Okay, it's powered up now. It's really hard to see that little light inside of here. I think I may have had it powered on, but now we can hear the servo. Hear it going there. And it's adjusting, you know, for the up and down there. So yeah, it's all, the gyro's definitely working well. So let's go ahead and grab the controller here. If I give it a little bit of throttle, you'll see. And I think it's a good idea to try to give it a bit of throttle when you do throw it. So the wind is picking up here quite a bit at times and it'll let up. So it's making me a little bit nervous. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wait here a second until the wind calms down before I try hand tossing this. So it looks like it's letting up a bit right now. So let's give us some throttle here. And there we go. That's not too bad. You can see it's. I'm going to try to keep it close here the best I can because of that wind. Let's just go ahead and land it. We could definitely get out here in the water, but again, it's fighting that wind. I'm going to go ahead and that's see 1 and then 2. So we're going to put it in the highest rate. Let's go ahead and hand launch it. Yeah, that gyro really helps out. Let's go ahead and, again, this wind is really gonna make it difficult today and it's not that much wind, but when it's something styrofoam like this, it's a lot harder. Whoa, it clipped the post. Let's go make sure it's okay. Looks like it's fine. Just wanna make sure the propellers are okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try to land it on the water. We could also just go up here. Maybe let's try that. Let's just go up here and see if we can just take off here on the boat ramp and just toss it in the water. It shouldn't need much to take off. So let's go ahead and put it in the water. And there we go. Doesn't take much. This is cool. I don't want to go too much to the right because that's the way the wind's blowing. So I'm kind of almost hovering in place here. It'll be easy to lose this plane if we take off. Oh, so either way, hand launch or just throwing it up in the air. Just give it some throttle before you hand launch it. There we got a break in the wind. I know there's a lot of sun glare there, guys. Let's try to turn it. See if we can bring it around this way. Yeah, it flies pretty good. Let's try to land it on the water here. There we go. And it says this has a low battery alarm, so I'm hoping that the controller will beep when we do reach the low battery. Let's just give it full throttle, and then look at that. It doesn't take much for the wind to get up underneath it. Ooh, boy, I tried to flip, and that made me a little nervous. Don't want to get it too high in the air again, because this is going to be easy to blow away. So you can just sort of drop the throttle, and we can just ease it down in the water if we have to. Let's go with the wind at our back for a second. It's not too bad. This is fun. A really calm day is going to be perfect, but this time of the year, to get pleasant warm weather, it's going to be, you know, windy. It's just a calm day. Maybe late in the evening I could have lucked out, but I wanted to get it done now, so. Fun little flyer. This is like, again, with no wind, it's going to be a lot sportier. It's really battling that wind, as you guys can see. Let's try to, oh, and then land it again. Wind's really picking up, so let's wait 1 minute. Just gonna wait a second, and then we'll toss it here in the water, because it'll float around the water just fine. And we can get it back out here. You can really hear that gyro stabilization going to town there. So if you ease it up some, you can just kind of guide the boat, and you can kind of go on the water like this. If you give it about half throttle, that's not quite enough to get in the air. It's pretty cool. So you can kind of even steer, you can kind of run it like a boat. And then we'll see if we can steer it around here. Not exactly what it's made for, but you can certainly do it. Let's see if we can give it full throttle and get up in the air. There we go. Once you give it full throttle, it certainly takes off. Kind of back it up here. I don't want to lose it over in those trees. And this is so lightweight, I would expect the runtime to be decent on this, despite just being a small 1S LiPo. But you are powering 2 brush motors, so that's something to consider. Again, it's not doing too bad considering that it's fighting probably 15-mile-per-hour wind at times. Let's bring it around here and land it on the water. Let's see if we can just kind of steer it on the water again. Kind of ease it in here. So I don't want it to get too far away, because you get it out there very far, and the wind's gonna push this guy. Now we're going into the headwind here, so it's not gonna take much to get lift. It's battling it. Let's give it full throttle, and there we go. As long as we don't turn the, ooh, there, I was lucky. As long as we don't turn it upside down. If it lands upside down, we're in trouble. Oh, and that's exactly what happened. Well, unless it flips over now with the wind, this is probably the end of the review, guys. Oh, the canoe people might be able to recover it for me. That's what I was afraid might happen. You know, you can't help that. The wind hits it, flips it, and then what are you going to do now? You're going to have the boat. You know, it's going to have to have a boat, unless the wind gets lucky here and flips it over. All right, guys, that wraps up this review. I wouldn't hold this against it in terms of if you're looking at this little plane. I think it worked pretty good. Just don't be dumb like I did and fly on a day where it's a little bit too windy. Again, this is not bad, but on a calm day, this will be fine, and that shouldn't happen. The wind got under it and flipped it. It's not. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing while you click that bell to be notified when I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.